Said, the operation adhered to a well-known strategy. Following artillery barrage and airstrikes across the entire front, armored units initiated an advance towards their initial objectives where they met heavy resistance from the Ukrainian defenders. However, this approach swiftly exposed its limitations when implemented in contemporary warfare. As both sides failed to effectively neutralize enemy artillery during the offensive phase, Russian armored units began experiencing equipment losses right from the moment they advanced towards the front lines. These losses persisted during their attempts to break through, primarily due to encountering minefields obstructing their path and the inability to preemptively silence the Ukrainian artillery. Whether Russian forces will successfully secure a foothold in the targeted regions remains uncertain. So far, the Russian offensive has encountered similar difficulties to their previous failed offensive towards Soledar, as well as the Ukrainian Zaporizhzhia offensive, which also failed to achieve its operational and strategic goals in the south. These three battles may give the impression that the current war could potentially result in at least a temporarily frozen conflict. However, given the stubbornness of both parties involved, this outcome should not be taken for granted, even if the possibility exists. The current Russian offensive actions took Ukraine and its Western allies by surprise, not only because all eyes recently went over to Israel, but also because it is likely to be the most significant offensive operation undertaken by Russia since January 2023. It's also believed by the British Ministry of Defense in a note published on X. This attack shows that the Russians have succeeded in replenishing some of their offensive reserves and are still far from ending this war. Ukraine, however, makes good use of their defensive assets and was able to withstand the pressure built up by the Russian offensive. Unclear how they will proceed with their own offensive in the south for now, even if I assume they will keep up their efforts in one way or the other. As mentioned several times by me now, these Russian pushes come with a high price. They went with what worked for them in Mariupol and Bakhmut, but I cannot say that especially their approach in Bakhmut was a good one, even if they were successful. Their cold mathematical approach using a large amount of human lives is nothing one should strive for, in my opinion. Nearly everything in the Russian doctrine has disposability over survivability written all over it. Here we see Russians observing a Ukrainian mine laying UGV through the lens of a drone. A pretty interesting approach. If this really works as smooth as showcased here, we could see much more of these being used soon. UGVs are around for some time now, but actual data from combat missions still is limited, at least compared to other unmanned systems. What you see here is Ukraine's first use of US supplied attack MS missiles. The Army Tactical Missile System is a conventional surface-to-surface artillery weapon system capable of striking targets well beyond the range of existing Army cannons, rockets and other missiles. It is fired from the HIMARS and MLRSM 270 platforms. This attack was aimed at the Berdyansk airport and likely substantially damaged Russian aircraft and airfield infrastructure. According to the ISW, several open-source intelligence analysts amplified satellite imagery of the Berdyansk airfield and suggested that it shows at least 7 burned-out areas where satellite imagery previously showed various Russian helicopters, and additionally noted that many helicopters have since moved. This is a video that gives off close Syria vibes. It shows what looks like a BTR having a close encounter with a passing-by anti-tank missile flying close over it. If you followed the conflict in Syria back then, you most likely already saw a lot of these videos. That's it for this Ukraine war update. Thank you very much for your interest. Once again, please make sure to leave a like and comment under this video. Your feedback is always important for me. As mentioned before, the full uncut version of this Ukraine war update is already on my private Telegram channel. It is much longer since I had to cut out a lot of it for YouTube. For $5 a month I can give you access not only to footage, breakdowns and commentary I cannot share here, but perhaps even to maps and further analysis in the future depending on your support. The link is in the description and is for people who want to support me and see this project growing. Thank you.
Вот так.
Давай посильнее, въебать надо.
Здесь с другой стороны еще разок повзрывать.
Давай его поменяй. Давай поможем.
Давай, нахуй, другой кто? Кто-нибудь другого. Встаньте кто-нибудь. Еще. Все, щелкнул. Хватит.